Is there no one else? Is there no one else?
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my new iteration of my unstoppable Paladin. If you enjoy face tanking bosses, if you like being that meat shield for your party, if you like toughness, sword and board, this is going to be the build for you. As always, we will cover every single facet of this build. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. Starting off with some gameplay. Now, the skills I'm using for this build are Shield Rush, Volatile Reversal, Sigils of Hope, Holy Aura, and Rive. And our main damage dealer is the third swing of Rive, which is going to be a guaranteed crit. Now, just keep in mind, like I said in the intro, this is a tank, sword, and board, and it is meant to be extremely tough. That does not mean we cannot kill things. That does not mean that you have to have a party, but that is where it really sings. So if you're looking for a glass cannon, go check out my Holy Smiter. And that build's actually not a glass cannon at all, but it just does a ton of damage. Now, since we are using Shield Rush in conjunction with Volatile Reversal, if you line up correctly, which I'm not saying I just did, you are a fast boy. And you can see how quick we are going to be able to traverse this map. Also, something I have added into this build, which I don't know how I lived without, is the ability to pull enemies toward me. So as you can see in this, and it works for bosses as well, anybody that gets close on my swing, I can now just grab and they get closer, which is a great quality of life. Now, I didn't mention that right now, what you are looking at is corruption level 170. So corruption level 170. So we haven't pushed super far just yet. Modifiers are on the right, but my gear is decent. It is in a pretty good spot. And during that section of the build, I will show you what's capable. Because if geared correctly, you can easily get an additional, listen to me, an additional 200 or close to 200% crit multiplier. So watch, swing, all the spiders just run in.
Stand down or die.
Stand down, die. I'll just face tank. Pull him in. You dead. One more. Get over here. And of course, with Rive, you also have a kill threshold. Let's do another one. And we're off. Oh, look at this run. And all the enemies run up and we just suck them all in. Get closer. I love that so much. I don't know how I used to play this without being able to pull all the enemies towards you. You always had to reposition to make sure you were hitting the enemies. And that is no longer needed. I mean, every once in a while you get a ranged enemy that you got to go towards. But for the most part, it does not happen super often. And I feel like this level is almost a perfect example of what's capable with this build, because it's so wide opened and there's so many enemies that it's very easy to traverse. And as you can see, damage is pretty good. Again, this is corruption 170. And you have tons of leech with this build. So if you do notice yourself dying, dude, that was the perfect line. Look at that! Oh, we almost made it all the way to the end. Sorry. If you do notice yourself dying, it's probably because you aren't actually hitting anybody. And Rive's third swing has a great kill threshold. Okay. So you got the idea. You can run wherever you want, guaranteed crit, pull enemies towards you, and just take damage like a champ. All right, let's fight a Shade of Oribus. Shade of Oribus, corruption level 170, modifiers on the right. Jump out of there. Let's see if we could just face tank them. We're gonna start with. See if we could just sit here. Oh, look at my life right now, standing in the void. Ooh, that hurts. It looks like we are not going to need to move for this fight. Annihilation. Yes, annihilation. Ooh, that was closer. And of course, we have our kill threshold. And you're dead. State of Orbis, corruption level 170, face tanked. Now, obviously, you normally wouldn't play just standing there, but I'm just trying to prove a point. And even though you're probably thinking, man, that took him a long time to kill it, like I said, geared correctly, not what I'm currently wearing, you can squeeze an additional 200% to melee crit strike multiplier. Let me show you how to recreate this build. Now let's check out the skills for this unstoppable paladin, starting off with Shield Rush. Now I just want to put it out there right at the beginning. If for whatever reason you don't have a Bastion of Honor, if you do not have a good shield, you technically could run this build with a two-handed weapon. Obviously it is just more stoppable that way, and you could build it the exact same way. It's just down here you need to take this node, Dark Rush, which allows you to use Shield Rush without having a shield. That being said, I'm using Bastion of Honor, so we are good. You want 4 points into Warrior's Entrance, 1 point into Echoes of Charge, 2 points into Critical Echo, 2 points into Obliterating Echo, 5 points into Stretch Time. Then you want to come up this way, 2 into Critical Rush, 2 into Obliterating Rush, and then your last 2 points, you just put it up here into Splintering Impact. Now, when I make these build guides moving forward, I'm always going to take you on the path I took as far as what you level up, but really with Shield Rush, it really doesn't matter. You could take this tree first, you could go down first, but that's just how I did it. I went down, then here, then up, and then the last 2 points right there. Okay, moving over to our big baddie, Rive. This skill is so awesome, and it's even better in 090. Now, this is the way you want to go first, okay? You want to go up this direction, then down, okay? Then you take Lacerate, then you take Challenge, which pulls enemies towards you, and then 2 into Rendering. So 3 into Outburst, 2 into Reclamation, 3 into Brutality, 1 into Coup de Grace, 5 into Flurry, 4 into Concentration, 1 into Focus Strike, 1 into Laceration, 1 into Challenge, and then right here 2 into Rending. And right now I have 23 points into Rive. So if you are dealing with only 20, you would not take Rending, okay? So you would not take Rending, and then you get a choice. Do you want Laceration or do you want to pull enemies in? Play with both. This is going to give you a little more damage. This is going to make it a big quality of life pulling enemies towards you. Your choice. All right, moving over to Holy Aura. What you want to go first is down and up. So you want 5 points into Call to Arms and 3 points into Fanaticism. Then you want to go down this way, 5 points into Shelter of the Storm, 4 points into Mighty Shield, and then your last 3 points, 2 into Vital Boon, and 1 into Purification. This is going to give you cleanse on ailments as well. So whenever you hit this, it'll cleanse your ailments. Moving over to Sigils of Hope. What you want is to go left first. You want 4 points into Empowering Sigils, 2 into Word of the Alcrity, 1 into Expediency, 5 into Word of the Power. It's going to give you a global 150% melee damage. Then you want 1 point into Last Wish, 2 into Iron Sigils, 4 into Enduring Hope, and 1 into Tetragram. Okay. Last but not least, Volatile Reversal. And I run this skill literally the exact same. This is in the same configuration as my Holy Smiter build. All right. You want to go up first and put 3 into Time Sap, 3 into Warp Time, 3 into Catching Up. Then you want to come down, 2 into Traveler's Fatigue, 1 into Time Lost Wisdom. Then you want to go left, 1 into Terminal of the Void, 3 into Dark Expanse, 3 into Harbinger of Dust. This is going to make it where enemies take 30% more damage. Crazy note. 30% total more damage they will take. And then your last point, you want Void Rift. Those are the skills. Moving over to the passives for this Unstoppable Paladin. Right now we are level 96 and we have unlocked all 15 passive points from the campaign. And this has changed a lot from my older version of the build. In the base class, you want 46 points. 5 into Overwhelm, 8 into Juggernaut, 8 into Fearless, 5 into Armor Clad, 5 into Valiant Charge, 5 into Time and Faith, and then down here, 10 into Mail Crusher. This is going to give you 120% extra damage because we are using a mace. But just know, again, if you are not using a mace or scepter, and you are using a sword or axe, pull these 10 points out and put 5 into Blade Master, okay? Under Forge Guard, we are now using nothing into Forge Guard. Void Knight, I have 45 points, 10 into Abyssal Endurance, 10 into Devouring Blade, 6 into World Eater, 10 into Sorrow and Steel, 1 into Void Corruption, and 8 into Doom Knight. Now, the reason why that I went heavy into Void Knight for this version of the Unstoppable Paladin, because of this node right here, Void Corruption. Every single point you spend inside of this tree is going to give you critical strike multiplier. And again, this is a guaranteed crit build. So that 45 points into Void Knight, there might as well be a little node right here that says 45% melee critical strike multiplier, which is absolutely huge. And there's great nodes. You're going to get resistance and health. You're going to get physical damage. You're going to get 100% added damage. You're going to get leech. You're going to get strength and health. So lots of good stuff inside of Void Knight, but do not run this as a Void Knight. Run it as a Paladin. Okay. People are like, why are you using Paladin? You want Paladin because you want Holy Aura. You want Holy Aura. There's nothing to replace it. Okay. Under Paladin right now, I have 18 points, 8 into Conviction, 7 into Valor, and 3 into Holy Icon. And right now my character's level 96. So my last 4 points are going into Holy Icon. I'm going to max this out, which is going to help me with my necrotic resistance, healing, and life. So then all of those nodes will be knocked out, and you have to have 15 points inside of Paladin to ensure that you get Sigils of Hope. Those are the passives. Moving over to everyone's favorite gear, starting with idols. Now, there's only 2 idols that you really want to find for this build, and the rest you can just fill in yourself. And that is Critical Strike Multiplier with Rive, okay? And this can roll as high as 45%. And you will see that this one also dropped with a physical damage that could also roll as 45%. And then my other one is Critical Strike Multiplier for Rive, and this dropped with increased armor. Now, this can also drop with chance to shred armor on hit. It's the best idol. Fortunately, you can only have 2 of them. But check out the Advanced Build Planner if you want to see how I set up my idols. And then the rest in here are just like life and little things I need to get resistances that I needed. Some physical damage, okay? Moving over to gear. What is required for this Unstoppable Paladin? Now, this is a build that I always recommend to people that have never played the game before because it has no gear requirement. I'm going to say that again. This build has no gear requirement. Now, there is a best in slot, and that best in slot is, of course, Bastion of Honor, because it gives you so much survivability. The shield gives you 100% block chance against enemies within 4 meters. And as you saw from that gameplay, we're always within 4 meters, which means you are always going to have a guaranteed block chance, which is why it is somewhat unstoppable. Now, I'll go through each item one by one. Ready? Helmet. Melee physical damage with a mace and crit multiplier. Amulet, crit multiplier, melee attack speed. Armor, +3 to Rive, plus melee physical damage with the mace. Ring, physical damage strength. Belt, physical damage cooldown. Ring, physical damage strength. Relic, strength, critical strike multiplier. Boots, life. Gloves, these gloves are horrible. I don't even want to show you. You would definitely want strength on here. You would also want life. And then last but not least, let's talk about a Doom Star. Let's talk about a Doom Star. So on here, okay, you can get melee critical strike multiplier in the implicit up to 90. And this one is only at 67. On top of that, you can get critical strike multiplier in a tier 7 version, which is also going to give you an additional 50 critical strike multiplier. Okay, so you're kind of getting close to that 80-90% crit multiplier you can squeeze just out of your weapon. Now, there's one more item, because I said during the video that you will be able, geared correctly, to get almost 200% added critical strike multiplier if you are using certain gear. So, if you had a Doomstar that had the correct implicit roll and a tier 7 critical strike multiplier and are using these boots, step 73% melee critical strike multiplier, and this can roll as high as 105. Now, if I had gear that can take out the negative 75% physical resistance, or maybe I got some legendary potential, I would be wearing these boots. So again, a better rolled Doomstar plus wearing these boots will give you a huge, I mean monstrous damage output from this build. Every third swing of Rive at the training dummy, when I was messing around with it, I was getting 110 to 120,000 damage. That's with a free skill. Something to shoot for. That's the gear. Now let's look at the stats for this unstoppable paladin. Like I said, I am level 96, currently at 52 points of strength, 31 points of vitality, run walk speed is 33. Now fire, lightning, cold, physical, poison, and void are almost all maxed out. And when I trigger Holy Aura, you'll notice that all of them are maxed out. Now, necrotic is only at 37%, but remember that right here, I'm going to be adding 4 more points into necrotic resistance, which is going to get very close. It's going to put necrotic resistance into the 70s for me. So resistances wise, we are very solid. On top of that, I'm using Bastion of Honor. And if I was around enemies, you would see this block chance at 100%. So we are going to have our resistances. We are going to have our block chance. Right now, with armor, we are at 3,000, which is a 49%. On top of that, we are 60% maxed in endurance, and endurance threshold is at 6. And it keeps, I'm putting my sigils on. And endurance threshold is at 722. Critical strike avoidance is at 78. So I need one more item, ring, or belt with crit avoidance, and I need to get a better rolled blessing to get that. When you look at my overall damage, increased physical damage right now is close to 700, 693. But what you want for this build is that crit multiplier, which you see right here at 414%. And you could get that close to 600 if geared correctly. Okay? This build is a beast. Now, a new section I've added into all my builds is a sustain category. How do you stop yourself from dying? How do you push higher corruption? How do you stay alive? And with this build, we have over 3,000 life currently. Now, this is how you sustain. So right in the base passive tree, you have time and faith. When you regain health and mana when you directly use Rive. You're going to be using Rive all the time, and your Rive swings really, really fast. So literally every click or every swing, you are going to get 25 life. And you probably think this is little because the number's so small. It is huge. It is absolutely huge. On top of that, in the Void Knight tree, you have World Eater, and this is going to give you melee damage leached as health at 6%. All right. But it's not just 6%. Because when you go and look at your Rive tree, right here you have Rive's third strike leeches damage dealt at health. So third strike health leeches 10%, which means your third strike Rive is going to be 16% leech, and your first and second swing is going to be 6%, and every swing is going to give you 25 health. That is a lot of sustain. And that's why I'm saying that if you find yourself dying, it's because you are probably not attacking. In some ways, it's easier to just face tank things because you're hitting them and you have so much sustain that you are not going to die. On top of that, inside of Holy Aura, you have 8 life every time you block. And on Bastion of Honor, you have 10 health every time you block. And you're going to be blocking at 100%. So every single time you block, you're going to get a little bit of life back over and over again. If you watch it, you'll see block, 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 block. And it's just blocking over and over again. So that's also going to give you a decent amount of sustain in this build. So those are the 2 things that I wanted to call out. It is a very tanky boy. Last but not least, let's talk about leveling up your Unstoppable Paladin. It is one of the best and easiest characters to level. And what's great about this build is you could start it from level 1. This isn't a build where, hey, do these things, and then once you hit endgame, you need to switch into the actual endgame build. No, you can start this from day 1 and take it all the way through the campaign and endgame. So what you want to start with is Rive is going to be your first skill. And again, you don't have to respec out of it. What you want to do is get kill threshold first. So you want to take this top tree and get that, and then take the bottom tree for your guaranteed crit. The second skill that you want to use is your shield rush, because this is going to allow you to fly through the campaign super fast. And just remember, if you don't have a shield, all you got to do is take dark rush, which is going to allow you to move fast without a shield. It's not required. The third skill that you will want for leveling will be Holy Aura. And for here, you're probably not going to have any problems with sustain through the campaign. So for me, I would take Call to Arms and Phantasm first, because that's going to give you more damage so you can kill things quicker. And then just like how it's up here, the 4th skill you want to take will be Sigils of Hope, and you want to go the left side first. Once you have these 4 unlocked, you should be done with the campaign. By that time, you are probably running monoliths. You're getting close to level 50 to get Volatile Reversal, okay? So basically, the skills I showed you in the skills section and how I broke those down, that's exactly how you're going to level up this Pali. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new and improved Unstoppable Paladin? Is there something I missed? Is there something I could do to take this to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. Hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it. It really does help the channels move through 2023. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 55 members that have signed up. Become an instant ARPG VIP and get Patreon exclusive content at the first link in the description. Weekly blog post, weekly podcast, access to the VIP lounge so you could chit chat with me every day, chance to win custom merch, and lots of other goodies, including streaming with me in VIP voice chat. First link in the description. Right now we have 20 viable build guides in the description as well. If this build isn't for you, that's all I've got. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.